Hello everyone and welcome to another video for retrogamer.blogspot.com. My name is Brendan. In this video we take a look at Virtua Tennis for the Dreamcast. The Virtua Tennis was originally released in the arcades by Sega in 1999, but the Dreamcast version followed in the year 2000. Since then it's spanned a whole lot of different sequels for a lot of different platforms. The most recent was Virtua Tennis 4 and that was released mid-2011. In Virtua Tennis there's 3 different game modes. The first one, the arcade mode, is very much like the original arcade machine. The player has to win 5 different matches to complete a tournament. It has a lot of arcade-like features that you expect, like for example, a second player can opt in a game at any time by pressing start, which I think is pretty awesome. The second mode, exhibition mode, is where the player can choose to either be in a single match or with a match with 3 other different players. It's pretty much just like a match on the run. You know, there's no story or there's no arcade scores or anything like that. You just jump in and play. The third mode is called World Circuit. This is more or less a careers mode. Finishing matches and challenges earns you money, which can be spent on training levels, clothes, and also extra players who can play with you in the doubles matches. For some reason there's a training level in Perth. I really have no idea why. This is where I'm from. But as a general, the training levels are quite a lot of fun and they do add quite a bit of variety to the general singles and doubles matches. Usually they just have you hitting balls at random objects to earn points, you know, like signs or actual big balls. But it's a lot of fun, so, you know, yeah. The double matches are a lot of fun and you always really feel like bros with your partner. The only problem is sometimes the matches can feel a little bit one-sided with the AI. Like, for example, sometimes the ball can just be constantly hit between your body and just the 2 other AI players. But, you know, he's your bro, so you can't stay mad for too long. This game lets you play with all the big names in tennis, as long as you're familiar with the ones from the early 2000s. I always go with Mark Phillip, whatever his name is, because, you know, I'm a proud Aussie and all that. But you have a lot of choice from a lot of different countries. So there really isn't a whole lot of match customization as far as the levels goes, but you can choose the surface type. You know, there's several different ones like carpet, grass, etc, etc. As far as I can tell though, they don't really differentiate between each other. They all felt the same to me, but then again, I'm not a tennis snob, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. So I mean, this game is way too fun to be a tennis game. I enjoy this heavily. I mean, usually I hate tennis and just sports games in general, but once I picked this up, I really had a lot of fun. I feel that a lot of people like me will enjoy it as well. The controls in this game are dead simple. It's basically a mix of using the thumbstick to move around, using the A button for general hits, and using the X key if you really want to lob it. Anyone who has just basic knowledge of tennis rules can pick this up and play it, which I highly recommend that you do. Unfortunately, sometimes the thumbstick doesn't respond too well to you moving around and it can screw you up sometimes. As far as I can see though, this is a problem with the actual thumbstick on the controller, not the programming in the game itself. There's plenty of other games where the gameplay has suffered because of the terrible stick on the Dreamcast controller. A nice touch in the game that I found is that it loads and saves automatically. This is pretty big for a game that is as old as this is. I mean, the first games I can remember that did that impressed me were starter titles for the PS3, you know, that was years later. So the graphics in this game are amazingly good and really show off what the Dreamcast is capable. It does make a lot of sense though, considering this is a Sega game, so obviously they're going to go the full 9 for their own game. But if you compare this to Street Skater, which was in my last review, that was only released a year before and the difference in the graphics are astounding. I can imagine it would have been very exciting at the time with the new generation coming in, and you just see how awesome the graphics are. So the game gives you the choice to play it in either 50Hz or 60Hz, and 60Hz looks amazing. Unfortunately I had to record this video on 50Hz because the capturing device I use is a piece of crap, but just trust me when I say it does look really good. The lighting in this game really stood out to me. I think it was probably one of the first games of that generation and probably one of the first games ever to use daylight lighting systems. It looks really clear and concise and really stands up to today's standards. As a general rule, everything is modelled and textured quite nicely in this. And the animations for the general part are pretty good, especially when it comes to the actual players and just how they react to everything. It's all very fluid. The only thing I really had an issue with was the audience. Sometimes it would look great, but sometimes it would look really flat. I think it all really depended on what perspective you're looking at it from. But sadly, they didn't seem to cater it for all perspectives. Otherwise, there's a lot of other nice little touches. For example, there's a ball boy on the side, and he actually follows the ball as it goes side from side, and there's various other spectators within the close vicinity who do the same. I also just like how they basically set it all out like a television show, like how you would actually see it on TV. It's just, you know, it's kind of gimmicky, but it's pretty cool, you know. The VMU screen on the controller is used quite well in this game. It does certain things like keep the score, as well as a little animation as you're playing, like as you play on a normal screen, which I think is pretty cool and a nice attention to detail. Unfortunately, it's not very noticeable. I didn't actually even notice it until I decided to film it, you know, for this review. But yeah, it's cool they've done it nonetheless. The music in this is your general expected Sega awesomeness. It's very rock oriented, which they've done in a lot of games, but it just smoothly integrates into the background and just flows nicely with everything. So the in-game audio is fairly realistic like you expect. The one thing that stands out though is the over-the-top but satisfying pop sound every time you hit a ball. All in all, this game comes highly recommended. Even if you're not a fan of sports or tennis, just try it out. I mean, I myself automatically shunned it when I originally came across it because I was, you know, tennis sport, you know, doesn't interest me at all. But second time coming across it, I decided to give it a try, and I'm very glad that I did. I'm sure it is about tennis, but once you start playing it, you find that it is really just hardcore arcade fun. The game is very easy to find. I bought mine in the cash converters for $20, and there's heaps on eBay as well for about the same price. Funnily enough, I also did see a lot of sealed copies on eBay as well, but I recommend you actually buy a copy and play it, because it's a lot more fun than just staring at a shrink-wrapped package. So I just realised I've done this whole video with a piece of crap in my front teeth, but I'm not going to refilm the whole thing, so if that bothers you, deal with it. Either way, that's the end of the review for today. Thank you for watching. Catch you elsewhere.
Game set and match.